Look, legislation of this complexity almost always takes longer than anybody else would hope, but we're going to press on.
Right now on News 8, waiting for more support why the latest health care proposal won't receive a vote until later in July.
We had a pickup truck that was used to commit a burglary in town. We probably had the pickup truck for 10 or 12 years.
Holding the bad guy's property, the changes for Iowa police departments after some claimed departments were just cashing in.
Live from WQAD, this is News 8 at 5.
Good evening, I'm Denise Hanitka.
And I'm Jim Mertens. Thanks for joining us tonight at 5. And we begin with the major developments surrounding the latest health care bill. This afternoon, Republican leaders delayed a vote on their proposal, saying they wanted to debate the health care bill this week, but 5 Republicans were holding out, saying they didn't want the debate yet. The announcement happens just hours after the Congressional Budget Office said the bill would force 22 million Americans off most coverage plans.
This is a very complicated subject. I remember how challenging it was for the Democrats when they were enacting this back in 2009 and 2010. It's a big, complicated subject. We've got a lot of discussions going on, and we're still optimistic we're going to get there.
The vote is now delayed until after the July 4th congressional recess.
Our other big story tonight is the change of direction for Illinois Democrats as they debate a new budget proposal. This morning, Democrats move forward with a statewide property tax freeze. It's one of the sticking points for Republicans. The Revenue and Finance Committee approved the measure this morning. The 4-year freeze moves to the House floor. Governor Bruce Rauner has insisted that property taxes be held in check as part of a budget deal, but there are several exceptions to that proposal, including Chicago, its schools, and 17 other financially strapped school districts. Republican leaders say they're willing to agree to an increase on the income tax if they get that property tax freeze.
The legal fight over Illinois' unpaid Medicaid bills will be back in court tomorrow morning. Attorneys were told to work on a compromise, but they now say the court-ordered talks simply aren't working. The state has more than $2 billion in unpaid Medicaid bills, and lawyers for the healthcare providers want the judge to order the state to start paying. If the judge orders Illinois to begin payments, State Comptroller Susana Mendoza says she'll have to cut back on payments for other bills.
Without solid state funding, elementary schools in East Moline may not open in the fall. Last night, Superintendent Chris Humphreys told the school board there's not enough money in the district's accounts to stay open past Halloween. He says the district would need to look at other options before it would even allow students to return to classrooms. In March, the East Moline Elementary School District cut 20 teachers in the hopes of surviving a few more months. 15 of those teachers have already been hired back. Protesters held a mock funeral for higher education outside Governor Bruce Rauner's home. Northeastern Illinois University faculty and supporters mourned the lack of state funding and the loss of MAP grants for students. The staff has taken at least 8 furlough days this year because of budget problems caused by the lack of state funding.
And the Illinois Lottery will soon be without its 2 largest games because of the state budget crisis. Powerball ticket sales will end after tomorrow night's drawing. Mega Million sales will stop on Friday night. The Illinois Lottery will continue to hold drawings for other state lotteries. Anyone who wins more than $25,000 will have their prize payments delayed. State officials say there is money in the bank for the winnings. It's just not authorized to pay the bigger prizes without a state budget. 2 foundations are stepping up to help a Quad City agency after it was defunded by the United Way. The Center for Active Seniors, known as KSI, will get stopgap funding from the Doris and Victor Day Foundation. The Community Foundation of the Great River Bend is also stepping up with help. That $25,000 contribution will help to keep programs running, but KSI still says it needs to raise at least $35,000 to avoid drastic cuts.
It's wonderful to know that we have such strong philanthropic beliefs and organizations in our community that understand where the needs are in the community.
About a dozen local agencies and programs were cut off by United Way's change in how it funds organizations.
Traffic is back to normal after 2 trucks crashed on Interstate 280. It happened east of the Route 92 interchange. According to Illinois State Police, 1 semi rear-ended the other, causing a big fuel spill. Emergency crews were forced to shut down 1 lane of traffic while they cleared the spill. One person was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
We continue to enjoy temperatures well below average for the final few days of June.
Chief Meteorologist James Zahara watching those conditions for us tonight. Hi, James.
Hi, guys. Yeah, good looking day it was out there. Plenty of sunshine and a nice recovery, too, after we woke up the numbers around the mid to even upper 40s. Of course, the area has been very dry, so no surprise that we're able to get those temperatures in the 70s out there. Currently in the Quad Cities, we have a temperature of 76 degrees. That is the high so far. And a nice gentle southwest breeze at around 10 miles an hour. All is dry. Should be a fabulous evening and really most of the night. But what we're going to keep an eye on going into the rest of the work week is that blotch of activity out to the west, as not only will it bring one round of strong to possibly severe weather, but maybe two before conditions became allowed to calm down heading into the weekend. So we know where it is. Now all we have to do is time it all out for you, and we'll tell you when these waves will be arriving. Coming up in just a few minutes. Denise?
Thank you, James. We're following a developing story out of Burlington after two shootings, 2 people recovering from gunshot wounds in 2 different incidents. The first happened on Saturday afternoon near Harrison and Madison. 37-year-old Kenneth Armstrong was shot multiple times. Then hours later, 41-year-old Lenny Nickerson was shot during a fight at the Crazy Coyote. Now there's a push to organize a Peace in the Park event to bring people together.
I'm hoping that everybody can come together and stop trying to divide our city, our country. There's such a division against everybody.
The event is a week from Friday. The victims of both shootings are in stable condition.
It's meant to fight crime and help crime fighters, seize the assets of wrongdoers, and supply police forces with much needed money and equipment. But states like Iowa let the good guys keep stuff owned by the bad guys, even when the bad guys were never proved to be bad. That's going to change. News 8's Christina Hefner is keeping them accountable by following the money tonight.
Civil asset forfeiture.
The term that's been used is that it's sort of legal thievery.
A law allowing police to take and keep items from people accused of committing a crime, even if they are not convicted.
Taking people's assets doesn't help them convict someone. I think when the law was first conceived, it was to make sure that people couldn't profit from ill-gotten gains.
Iowa lawmakers just passed a new law requiring seized cash or property to be returned, valued at less than $5,000, and there's no conviction.
I can't remember a case where we seized property that there wasn't a charge.
Tasers, a rescue vehicle, and the first canine dog for the Bettendorf Police Department, all purchased with money from seizures.
We look at it as items that are needed, that aren't budgeted for, and a fund that we can spend the money from that is not coming from our citizens through taxes.
Chief Phil Reddington says the department probably seizes around $15,000 to $20,000 in items per year.
We had a pickup truck that was used to commit a burglary in town. And we probably had the pickup truck for 10 or 12 years.
In 2016, Iowa had 822 cases of cash forfeiture, totaling $2.6 million. The new law was backed by Republicans who thought police were overstepping their boundaries.
We've read about the stories where somebody's driving down the highway, they have a large amount of cash. In one case, it was a student with tuition money. That person is stopped, and their money is taken without any kind of conviction for a crime.
The ACLU thinks the new law is a step in the right direction, but wants to see it go a step further.
These are abuses that we are glad that some of those will be minimized with this new law, but the law needs to go further.
For Bettendorf Police, the new law won't affect them too much.
Any seizures that we have are above and beyond why we worked the case to begin with. So it will change the fact that we won't be able to seize the smaller amounts, but that's not an issue for us.
But these new changes are aimed at departments solving crime, not generating money.
We want to see that profit incentive removed. We would like to see that money instead go into the general fund or someplace where law enforcement basically is not lining its own pockets with money that it is seizing from people.
In Bettendorf, Christina Hepner, WQAD News 8.
Scott County had a total of 79 forfeitures last year alone, mainly from drug busts.
The city is considering selling the old Lincoln Elementary School in Davenport. So far, the city's gotten a number of offers for that old building. It's located just north of downtown. It closed in 2012. Right now, the building houses after-school programs, including the Peña's Boxing Club. Some of them would then be moved to the old J.B. Young School when Lincoln is sold. The public hearing on a possible sale will be held in 2 weeks. A new YMCA in the North Scott community could be on its way to Eldridge. The city wants to put that new Y on LeClaire Road, which is close to several schools. The project's still in the early stages. It would take about 3 years to complete. Part of the plan is to include an updated fitness center and a swimming pool that would also be open to students.
We want to make sure that all of our communities are supportive of it, that they see a benefit to it. You know, we know that when you have a Y type of facility, you attract more people to live in the area. You know, it becomes a cornerstone.
Right now, the city is working to find out how much the project would cost.
Dozens of volunteers are giving President Ronald Reagan's boyhood home a facelift. Earlier this year, we showed you the wear and tear on the Dixon, Illinois landmark. That includes peeling paint and worn-out roofs on 2 buildings. Over the past few months, several dozen projects have been finished. And this week, volunteers concentrating on the parking lot and removing old stumps from the property. The executive director says replacing the roofs could cost as much as $35,000.
Still ahead tonight, classics for a premium price.
The one-of-a-kind auction that has hundreds of collectors flooding a tiny Iowa community.
And the weather outside may be fabulous for now, but we've got some pretty bumpy weather on the way. Showers and thunderstorms, some of those could be severe. We'll time it all out for you right after the break here on News 8 at 5.
You're watching WQAD. This is News 8 at 5.